Welcome to Creative Brews. I'm Kristen, and this is your weekly dose of creativity, where photography, design, and life come together. So, grab your favorite drink, and let's talk about what's brewing. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Creative Brews. As you can see, this is another one where I'm just talking. There's quite a bit going on, so that's the reason why I didn't really set up my camera and everything. But I just saw the time, and it's 11:11, so everybody make a wish. No, I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. It really is 11:11 anyways, which is pretty fitting for this episode, I guess you could say, in some way. So, as you can tell by the title, we're going to do, I think I've talked about manifestation before. Maybe like one or so episodes, and then I may have touched on it here and there. However, this podcast was not like set out to be a spiritual, a woo-woo, all of that, it wasn't supposed to be that. It was just going to be things that I found interesting, that I wanted to talk about and stuff like that. But what's funny is, and I guess it's probably because, like I've said maybe some episodes ago, I've been leaning more into the spiritual side of things just naturally. So I think it's only natural that I've been kind of roping in some spiritual aspects into basically everything that I've been doing in my life. So, I did find this topic interesting and wanted to talk about it. Again, it's a part of the Mindset Myths mini-series that I'm doing. I think after this, there's only maybe let's see. There's 3 that I have written down. So, yes. So, I definitely recommend this series. It doesn't all, like, it goes together, but they're not linked, if that makes any sense. So, you can literally start with one of the episodes, and you can basically just start where you want to start, in other words, because they're not chronologically linked to each other, if that makes any sense. So today's episode is about manifestation without action, the half-truth that holds you back. So, again, like I keep saying in this series, if you're new here, I'll start with this. If you're new here, welcome, first off. Definitely make sure to subscribe and follow and do all the things so that way you don't miss an episode. But yeah, however, if you are new here, thank you for being here. And usually in this series, I break down every episode into the psychology facts / insights. Then I give the spiritual / woo-woo side, facts and insights. And then I like to usually end each episode with a reframing. So, like, how can you reframe the mindset into what would work for you? Obviously, I do preface every video that I do about anything. Whatever works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. Whatever my opinion is, you might disagree, and that's okay. You know, everybody has an opinion at the end of the day. We are all human. We're all on this journey together, but not together, if that makes any sense. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get into the psychology side of things. So, what I'm going to do is for the psychology side, I just have a few bullet points. I did do my own research. I also recommend everybody who's listening or watching or tuning in, period, I do encourage you to, if this topic strikes you as interesting, do your own research. I feel like I feel like these episodes help because maybe I give a different point of view and stuff like that. Plus, like I said, it's interesting to me to talk about and break down, and sometimes I learn things too. You know, I'm always growing. At least I'm trying to, always working on myself. I've always been that way. So, yes. So, yeah, I do encourage you to do your own research as well. So, okay, psychology side of things. Our brains crave cognitive ease, comfort, and certainty. So, quote unquote, just visualize it feels emotionally safe to our brains. The dopamine effect, imagining success, triggers the same pleasure response as achieving it. So, daydreaming feels productive. So, I think this kind of goes with something that I do that I didn't know other people do until I was speaking with one of my friends, and I found out that she does the same thing too. And I was like, no way. You do that too? Like, see, that's why I like to talk about these things because, like I said, we're all on this journey, whatever you want to call it, life path journey, walk with God, walk with the universe is guiding me. However you want to word it, whatever works for you, right? Whatever floats your boat. But basically, I usually, if I am wanting to grow, like, I'll give a quick example. I wanted to start my own business and stuff like that. Well, I did that. I mean, doing the work, like physically doing the work, getting everything legal per se, like, building your website or whatever it is that you're doing is like the hard part. Yeah, but another side of it that we don't really talk about, I kind of think, people do talk about this, but what I'm saying is if you're not in the spiritual community or anything like that, or woo-woo, whatever you want to call it, community, or even like self-help community, growing yourself. I mean, I could keep going. Like, the list is extensive. There are people out there talking about these subjects that, like some of the subjects that I've even touched on, in a different way, obviously, but there is a little community, I guess is what I'm saying. However, not many of them really like dive deep into it. They do, but they don't. Like, they do in a different way. Anyways, so I wanted to do that, while I was out on maternity leave, stuff like that, like, I definitely kicked in my brain. My brain definitely kicked into gear of, okay, how can I provide for my family? And I'm not really sure how to word it, but basically, how can I still be productive and provide, right? So, because you're only on maternity leave for so long. And for me personally, obviously, I would have just went back to work until, kind of done my business on the side. That was my plan, basically, but the plan changed. And I figured probably from day one that it probably would change because I had to commute to work and being a new mom and all these things was just pointing me in a direction of change. I think that's the best way that I can put it. So instead of trying to resist the change and make something work, force something to work, I knew that wasn't going to work either. Especially being a new mom and commuting. Like, I wasn't just like 40 minutes down the road. I was an hour and a half drive, 2 hour, depending on traffic. There, one way, there and back. So I knew that number one, even if I did really want to go back to work, which I did, I actually didn't mind what I did. But I just knew that wasn't going to work for me. Like when I sat down and really broke it down, when you sit down and make your pros and cons list or break it down to brass tacks, it just wasn't going to work for me. And I knew that. So I quickly thought about, okay, well, I need to do something, right? That's what we all think about. I know a lot of us moms, dads, parents, period, we don't want to willingly just take our little baby to daycare and, allow someone else to take care of them. So anyways, all of that to say, I wanted to start my own business. So while I was in the beginnings of it, I really visualized in my brain as if I'm watching it happen right before my eyes in real life. Like, that's how real it needs to be. Not just a blink of, oh yeah, that could be my new life in your head, and then you go on about your day. Not really. I mean, sort of, but not really. What I did was I actually visualized, like I said, as if it was happening right before my eyes. The new life that I wanted, like the new business, and it's a growing business, and I've got clients and blah blah blah. What is the business? All these things. So that's what I'm talking about. So creates an illusion of control. We trick ourselves into thinking we're doing the work, quote unquote, by mentally rehearsing success. So basically what I was just talking about. But, and I'm not saying like you have to spend minutes, visualizing. No, it could literally be like maybe 30, 40 seconds, however long it is, however long it naturally is in your brain. People call it daydreaming. Sometimes it is just that, daydreaming, whatever. Sometimes it's your brain actually trying to get you to see a different point of view, a different life, the list could go on. So I don't know, a lot of times we just don't pay it any attention because we're so go, go, go. Life is crazy and we're rushing around, whatever it is. So we're always busy. It avoids risk, plus rejection. Staying in fantasy protects the ego from failure. The real psychological trap, we confuse mental focus with embodied follow-through. So, I hope all of that makes sense, and everything. Maybe... So, okay, I'll go over a few other things real quick. Basically, your brain prefers, so for cognitive ease, your brain prefers what feels comfortable and certain. So when someone says you don't have to do anything, just manifest it, your brain goes, perfect, less work, more dopamine. And that is not what they're talking about. You're supposed to be, like, if you're trying to manifest something, you're supposed to be neutral. And you're supposed to... I mean, they say don't do anything, but what they really mean is just, obviously don't literally sit there and do nothing. Still, build your business. Still work on yourself. Still put yourself in situations where you might meet those clients or you might, so you're still working, but you're not forcing something to happen. You're staying in a neutral state. So, neuroscience shows that when we visualize success, we get that dopamine hit like I spoke about before, almost identical to achieving it. So we end up getting high off the fantasy of the goal instead of taking steps toward it. It feels productive, but it's really just mental entertainment disguised as manifestation. So be careful is basically what I'm saying. Like, you want to... So basically, if you're kind of like, okay, what was that? Basically, what we're saying here is that you want to visualize it, but you do not want to visualize it so much that you live in your head, in other words. So you don't want to be a successful business owner only in your head. I think that makes sense. You want to visualize it enough so that way it keeps you motivated and inspired and moving toward your goal. So doing the work toward your goal, not just sitting there on the couch and thinking, I was going to fall in my lap because I'm manifesting it and I'm visualizing it. That is not going to work. So this creates, I just read that. Well, actually, no, this is a different side. So what it does is it creates, like I said, the illusion of control. Because if I can just think, quote unquote, my way there, I never have to face rejection, failure, or uncertainty. But the truth is, avoiding discomfort is what actually blocks your alignment. So your brain loves the comfort zone. It wants to stay in the comfort zone. But a lot of times those failures, those rejections, actually we decided to go with someone else, a different business. Those are only leading you toward your quote unquote ideal client. Okay. So, and it's realigning you. So, you should already, you should be aligned. But if you're facing rejection after rejection after rejection, or this isn't working, it's only teaching you, okay, well, I need to align myself this way, or I need to change this about my business, or maybe you this is kind of confusing, so let me change this. So just because someone is rejecting you doesn't necessarily mean that if something would have been different, then the outcome would have been different. I hope that makes sense. So, but manifestation, so like I said, your brain loves the comfort zone, but manifestation requires movement beyond it. So, let's head to, or let's talk about the spiritual / woo-woo insights and facts. So, this is where basically it kind of gets our got twisted, I guess you could say. So the law of attraction is about energetic alignment, not inaction. So, yeah, not just, again, sitting there thinking I was going to fall in my lap. Energy moves through momentum. So by doing, like I was saying, like putting yourself, where maybe your ideal client will be, or maybe stepping out of your comfort zone in order to get yourself, quote unquote, out there, get your business out there. The universe mirrors what's in motion. So, quote unquote, receiving doesn't mean just waiting. It means staying open and responsive to intuitive nudges. So, again, let's just say I'm trying to figure out how to explain this. So, again, you should be coming from a neutral, basically, like, if this works out, that's cool. If this doesn't work out, that's also cool, because I'll just do something else. So that's what I mean. Like, you're not forcing something, and you're not basically putting it out there to the universe or to God and then telling God or checking in with God every second of the day to try and figure out, okay, well, when will I receive that sign? What is it going to look like? What time will it be? What will I be doing? What will I be wearing? All of that. Like, you shouldn't get hung up about the how, the who, what, when, where, why, and how. You know what I mean? Like, you're just putting it out there. And if it happens, that's great. And if not, that's also great. The universe can't meet you halfway if you're just standing still. Inspired action equals divine collaboration minus your effort. Well, not minus, but your effort is the universe's permission slip. So again, like, if you're wanting to build your own business and you do have a website, but maybe you haven't really done much lately, then it's not just going to show up at your door and say, hey, I'm here, I've been delivered. No, it doesn't happen like that. You still have to put yourself out there. You still have to maybe market, or if you don't want to market, you still have to talk about your business and what you do, your services, what you can offer to whoever you think your ideal client is. Or if it's not a business, I mean, these things can literally be applied to any part of your life. So if you're wanting to write a book, okay, well, sit down, brainstorm. What book is it? What's the premise? All the guts, you know what I mean? I know that sounds a little gross, but all the little things in between, Embodiment anchors vibration. When you act like your future self, you become the energetic match. You become magnetic. So when you're moving in the way that you think your future self, basically when you're embodying and you're like, okay, I got this. Like, I'm a successful business owner. I'm a successful author. Whatever it is, a successful whatever. Then how does that future me act? And honestly, whenever you start embodying that, you might not notice in the beginning. Like, I kind of didn't really notice, but I kind of did. It didn't take me long to notice. That's all I gotta say. Because I became awake to my own, like, bullshit that I was doing. You know what I mean? Like, in the very, very, very beginning, you just, like I said, I think I've said this in a different episode, you just have to get real with yourself and stop sugarcoating it for yourself, stop keeping yourself in your comfort zone and all this other stuff. And when you truly become tired of your own BS, you are like, okay, this isn't working, so I have to find out what is going to work for me. So, yeah, the law of attraction was never meant to be passive. It's about alignment, and it's also about energy and motion. You can't align with something you're not willing to move toward. So you can't fake it till you make it. That was a previous topic that we talked about. So if you're interested, and I definitely recommend, I know this is kind of a weird spot to do this, but I definitely recommend going back and listening to those because I think they truly offer some different insights, facts, and point of view and stuff like that. The universe, like I was just saying, is not a delivery service. I'm going to say that again. The universe, your God, whatever you're calling it, the universe is not, whatever you call it, is not a delivery service. It's not going to fall in your lap. It's not going to show up at your door. It's not going to be waiting for you when you go to break at work. Or it's not going to be waiting for you around the corner. You know what I mean? Like, I wish, right? But you have to literally, like, I think we all think that we believe in miracles. But the best way that I can put this is you truly have to believe in something that maybe you can't fully see it. Maybe you can kind of see it. Maybe you're like, well, I see it, but I don't really know if that's going to be how it plays out. But I'm moving toward it. You know what I mean? Like, so that's what I'm talking about. It's a mirror. It reflects your frequency, so your energy. And that frequency comes from your thoughts, your actions, basically everything. Like, the list could go on, in other words. When you visualize your dream life, you're tuning your energy. So you can kind of think of it as, oh, I'm visualizing my future self. I'm visualizing, and whatever that might be for you. And every time you do that, you kind of tweak the tuning of your energy frequency. So you can kind of think of it like literally like energy waves. We all have a radio. We all know what that is. So you could think of it like that. You could think of it like music. You could literally just apply it to what works for you. When you take aligned steps toward it, you're broadcasting that frequency loud enough for the universe to hear you. I think that's a good way of putting it. So the universe can't meet you halfway if you're just standing still. Receiving energy isn't about waiting. It's about being open and responsive, like I basically just said. So I think that kind of explains everything. But you have to be open and responsive. You can't just say, well, I've been visualizing this for the past year and it hasn't happened yet. Like, I'm just gonna stop. It's not working. Nothing I do is working. So every time you think like that, you're closing yourself off to the potential of that dream life happening. All right. So, with all of that being said, let's reframe. So, we'll talk about the old paradigm and the new paradigm. So, old paradigm, if I visualize it long enough, it will come. The universe will deliver when the timing is right. I'm manifesting. I just need to trust. New paradigm. Okay. If I align and move, I become magnetic, like I mentioned before. The universe delivers when I demonstrate readiness through action. And through all of these things that we're talking about, movement, energy, alignment. All the things. Faith without movement isn't faith. It's just waiting. So, reframe. That's basically how you can reframe it. And you can also think of it as faith is the frequency, action is the amplifier. You're not manifesting wrong. You're just manifesting from the couch and the couch only. You're not manifesting something and then putting it into action. So it's a lot like when you have maybe a friend, family, whoever, coworker, and you hear them talk about how maybe they, want to do something different in their lives, right? But they're all the time talking about the same thing every single time. And they talk about how, I need to put my, what I'm talking about to motion and blah, 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 but they never do. They only talk about it. That's similar here. Very similar. If you're just sitting on the couch watching TV and, a commercial comes on and you're, or if you're on the toilet, wherever you're at in the car, like in the shower, and you just manifest real quick and you don't really do much about it, like I said, it's not going to fall in your lap. You have to do something. From a neutral standpoint, you have to put it into movement. You have to put your words into movement, right? The universe meets you in motion, not in hesitation. So when you hesitate, when you second guess yourself, you belittle yourself, you doubt yourself, you are shutting the door a little bit every single time. So, I believe that's everything that I wanted to talk about. I hope this all made sense. If it doesn't, please always feel free to DM me on Instagram. You can also leave a comment down below. And so again, this is very, very interesting to me. Like the brain period is very interesting to me, and it is something that I want to talk about. It's just crazy, I think. So, anyways, if this resonated with you, please share it. It definitely helps. And share it to someone who you think might needs to hear these things, or if they need to hear the mindset, myths mini series, send it their way. Like, I think it's not just about, like, I think when people hear that, they're like, oh, well, you're just trying to get views, you're just whatever. No, not really. I'm talking about all these things because I truly feel like, as the human race and in our society that we live in, I think a lot more people need to be talking about these things. Because I think it might, help someone. Or it might help a lot of people, hopefully. Anyways, again, I hope you all have a great week. And I will see you all in the next one. Bye.